Greetings, everyone, and thank you for joining this short session on the trending technology of immersive virtual reality. We will look at how IVR is trending in the world of corporate training. If you haven't guessed by now, I am your facilitator, Kevin Bartz. So just real quick about me, there I am with my wife Kristen and our daughter Ellery. My background is I've been a regional director of training for close to 3 years. I do a little facilitating, a little instructional design. My field of expertise outside of learning and development is residential property management. It's where I spent the first 6 years of my career working out in the field for a property management company in my hometown of Atlanta. But now I'm lucky to have found that role that I get to train other property management professionals. But that's enough about me. So let's get right into our content. To get us started, we'll talk about what VR is. Simply put, it's a simulation in which computer graphics are used to create a world with realistic appearance. To take that a degree further, we can add the word immersive, and learners are now completely put in the simulated environment, often wearing a device such as a head-mounted display. So why are we looking at this topic? Our goal is to examine how this technology is being used and applied at the corporate learning level. Well, a very cool concept. Is there value in this technology? We'll get into that a little later. Some examples that may sound familiar to you are flight simulators for pilots, practicing healthcare procedures, or military combat training. This technology is applied to corporate training in areas where training is required, but real life exposure is impossible. Real exposure is not possible because we have a high degree of danger, or it would just be too costly. Construction, energy, aerospace, and mining have been industries where IVR training is the most prevalent. Safety is overwhelmingly the most common area of application within those industries. Specific use that I have personal experience with is interplay learning. Interplay simulates making repairs to various elements of a home, often things maintenance technicians would encounter in residential property management. It would be too costly to intentionally break an air conditioner or a kitchen appliance every time training was needed for a technician on how to complete those repairs. Interplay software simulates how to make these repairs. It also has the ability to be repeated as many times as necessary. So then does IVR enhance training? Uh, well, maybe. Studies have found indications of a positive impact, but availability and studies themselves are limited. This leaves the jury still being out on whether training is enhanced with this technology. Cost, access, and overcoming learning curves are three big challenges. As we previously mentioned, the cost to continually break things, in my example for interplay learning, would be, a huge burden on any organization. The learning curve to not only for the learners themselves, but to train the trainers on how to use this technology and how to integrate it into their training practices. That's a huge learning curve and a major project in and of itself. So those are some major obstacles to make this a mainstream tech within corporate training. So let's take a look into the future. It does appear this technology will remain relevant in corporate learning and development. There should be an increase in certain industries such as food, chemical, and pharmaceuticals. To really develop into a game-changing instructional tech, more data regarding its usage will need to be made available and more studies will need to be administered. Is it worth the investment? In many industries, it is. Many have no choice due to the nature of their business. So any advances or improvements are beneficial to these industries. Final thoughts on this topic is that it may never be mainstream in corporate training, but it certainly has an application. The technology needs to continue being studied and developed. So things like customer service training may never really benefit from this technology. it would just probably be too much of a cost burden for something like customer service training where you don't really need to be immersed in that environment necessarily. But things like we mentioned, flight simulators, you can't really practice flying an airplane. That would be quite dangerous. You can't really practice being out on a battlefield, also quite dangerous. Um, things like car repair could definitely have an application. So it is definitely a useful technology within corporate training. And I hope that advancements continue to happen and more studies become available and are done on this topic. So thank you for watching this short video. I hope you got a little something out of it. Feel free to contact me with any questions or to have further conversation on this subject. Um, it's something that I'm interested in, since I have had some experience with it in a real life application. So happy to talk about it, or if you have further information on it, I'd love to hear about that as well. So my contact information is made available right there. Um, so thank you again, and I hope you got something out of this. The references for the information included in this presentation are on the next slide. These are the three references that I used to compile the information that I included in this presentation. Some really great and well-researched articles on this topic.